Hey folks, Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to the first video of 2025. Well, in today's video, we are going to talk about mistakes that you should avoid while applying for IPOs in the year 2025. But there is one more mistake that people do. They watch the entire video, they like it, but they forget to smash the like button. So I would request everyone to pause the video, smash the like button because I'm sure that you will find a lot of value in today's video. So keep on watching the video till the end. Okay. So what we have done in today's video specifically is that we have tried to analyze the IPOs in 2024 and we have just listed down top 3 IPOs. Top 3 is actually, I should say, worst 3 IPOs based on price movement. Okay, so those stocks, in simple words, which came up with an IPO, or those companies that came up with an IPO but are today trading at a great discount as compared to the IPO price, is what we are going to discuss. We'll try and understand what went wrong for these companies and we'll check whether we can take some learnings and we should avoid these mistakes while applying for IPOs in 2025. Well, before we move on, an important announcement. Upstocks presents CA Rachana Ranade's Ghar Investor is going to come live to Mumbai. So I'm going to come live in Mumbai when? On the 19th of January at 2:30 p.m. at Mukesh Patel Auditorium, NMIMS, Ville Parle in Mumbai. What am I going to cover in this event? Very important, how to build wealth in the long term using stocks and mutual funds. I'm also going to focus on how to approach the stock market in 2025, and most important, I'm going to talk about how to build your personal finances in a smart way. So if you want to attend this event, just check out the link in the description box, hit book, choose how many seats, and people have already started booking. So choose to book now because that's when you'll get a seat of your preferred choice. Also, this is an opportunity for both of us to click some nice selfies, to interact. So see you soon on the 19th of January in Mumbai. Now let's move on. I'll just tell you which are the 3 names. The very first one is Popular Vehicles and Services Limited. The second one is Capital Small Finance Bank. And the third one is Western Carriers India Limited. Now, very important. See, these are the worst performing IPOs as on the date I did the analysis. See, every day the stock price keeps on changing. So if you are checking the worst performing IPOs today or on whatever date, these names could change. Okay, so with this disclaimer, let's get started with the very first one, which is Popular Vehicles and Services Limited. For those who already know about it, the business model, I'll just try and cut it short. Mainly this company is into selling of cars, be it brand new cars or be it used cars, and they also deliver services related to the cars. Now, if I were to understand how much was the fresh issue, it was almost 41% of the total issue and 58% was offer for sale. Listing day discount was 6.3% and currently it is trading at almost 49% discount from the issue price. Now, what went wrong here, we'll try and understand. I think there are 2 major reasons. The very first one is the overall slowdown in the auto sector. If you have been following the auto sector very carefully, even this time the festive sales were not that great. Plus, this company also showed some poor financial performance. Now, why am I saying this? I'm going to show you a snapshot from their own company presentation. So, if you see here, this is the half yearly data. And if I were to understand revenue from operations, there's a drop of 1%. I'm comparing H1 FY24 with H1 FY25. There's a drop of 1%. EBITDA, 23% drop. EBITDA margin from 5.1% to 3.9%. If I were to understand about the PBT drop is by 62%. And even EBITDA margin has gone down from 1.8% to 0.7%. So all in all, I believe that of course the numbers were not that great. These were H1 numbers, but even if I were to do a YOY comparison, just have a look at this. Sales has dropped from 1600 crores, I'm just rounding it off, to 1500 crores. EBITDA or operating margin has gone down from 81 crores to 53 crores and PBT has gone down from 41 crores to 11 crores. So I think that's a steep drop. Even look at the EPS. EPS has gone down from 5 rupees to 1 rupee. That's like it has gone down to 20%. So I mean, definitely the financial performance is not that great. So what is the big learning here? The biggest learning I believe is that if you had applied for this IPO only and only from the listing perspective, listing gain perspective, ideally you should have quit on day 1 itself. But if you had applied for this IPO from a standpoint that, okay, let me see, let me wait and watch, then in that case, not tracking the financial numbers is the biggest mistake that people do. So what is the first mistake that you should avoid while applying for IPOs in 2025? The very first mistake that you should avoid is, so I'll tell you a guideline rather than, taking it from a negative standpoint. Number one, the first guideline that you should have is you should be clear why are you applying. Are you applying only for listing gains, or are you applying for maybe a little bit longer term? If for listing gains, quit your position on day one. If for a longer term, then ensure that you are tracking their quarterly results at least, and based on quarterly results, then you can take your final decision whether you want to continue or you want to sell. But this was more from a fundamental perspective. What we will do is the second company will try and do an analysis based on technical analysis. Let's start with the second one, which is Capital Small Finance Bank. You all are absolutely learned viewers now. I'm sure you already know what is a small finance bank, so I'll not go into the business detail now. This company, when it came up with an IPO, it was a mix of roughly around 86% fresh issue, around 14% of OFS, and this stock is currently trading at roughly 40% discount from its issue price. Now, as I told you, see, if you had held on to the shares just with an intention ki dekhte hai, let's see what happens next, then ideally you should track the performance of the company fundamentally as well. As far as the small finance bank as a whole space goes, this did not perform so well in 2024. So that is the reason why, again, I can say that Capital Small Finance Bank was also part of the whole space not performing well. But based on technical analysis also, I'm going to tell you one or two key points that you can remember. See, typically, if you have seen a few of my previous videos on IPOs, I have said that if there is an IPO base formation and if there is a breakout, then there is a trading strategy for that. But if I were to understand about how I can use the first day candle to determine a stop loss, I think this is really important. So just let's have a look at what happened on day one. See, if you can see here, a big wick. So you can see huge selling pressure coming from the top on day one itself, right? So this is the IPO base ka low. Okay, so I can say this is the day one ka low, which needs to be checked very specifically. Next day also, what has happened? The stock went up again, saw big selling. What has happened on day 3? So 2 days back to back selling on day 1 and day 2. Day 3, the candle is open equal to high. What does that mean? The moment the stock got listed, from that moment we saw some selling. Okay, even next day, big selling, almost 4.5% gone on the stock. Immediately next day, this stock came up at the lowest point of day 1. This, to be a little bit precise, yes. So stock tested this level again. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. Next day, so almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days it was hovering around that. And 7th day, we saw a gap down opening. And on this same day, so again, this is like a 4.8% fall. And look at the volumes here. This is ideally a pretty much clear sign of weakness, that yes, the stock since day 1 is seeing a lot of selling pressure. It tried to wait at the support level, but it broke the support level. It also saw a gap down from here, and then ultimately this selling pressure came in with big volumes, and from then you can see that the stock has just gone down and has not been able to recover. That's how the stock looks like right now. So I hope you have understood the mistake that you should avoid while applying for IPOs in 2025. Well, this is not what you can do while applying for the IPO, to be honest, right? You will apply, but after you have, let's say, you've gotten the allotment, and if you are not sure whether I should be holding on for it, for what time frame, ideally you should keep an eye on technical analysis also. See what is the low on day 1. If it is broken with big volumes, be careful. In such cases, ideally what you should do is trade with stop losses. Let's start with the third company, which is Western Carrier India Limited. I think the name itself suggests that it is a logistics related company. They offer fully customized logistics solutions from, in the space of roadways, railways, waterways, airways. And as I mentioned, it's more about customized range of value added services. You can also see the names of their customers on screen. Now, talking about the IPO, it was 81% fresh issue, 18% it was an offer for sale. The stock listed at a discount, and currently it's trading around 33% discount. Now, talking about the technical chart, just have a look at this. Day 1, and since then, it has been continuously falling. So all in all, again, what we need to analyze, what went wrong in this company. Was it about fundamentals, financials? Answer is yes. When we look at the results, their sales were kind of muted, and also if I were to understand about their receivables were on the rise. Understand this. If sales are increasing and receivables are also increasing, that may be still okay. But sales are muted and receivables are rising, that can cause some problem in the cash conversion cycle. Okay, so of course not good news here. Number two, I remember that just before the IPO, there was a news regarding, just before the listing, there was a news regarding the promoters, and that was not a good news. That was like a negative news about the promoters. So in such cases, whenever you get to know that promoters are coming into limelight for kind of wrong reasons, right? In such cases, at least I as an investor like to stay away from such companies, right? We also need to understand about the sectoral angle as well. See, again, my personal experience, but whenever it comes to logistics as a sector, see, be it delivery, be it VRL logistics, be it TVS supply chain, be it something like Mahindra Logistics as well, all these companies have pretty much failed on the stock market performance, right? Stock performance. Of course, there are exceptions, something like Concor as well. So all in all, if I were to sum up, my experience tells me that if it's a logistics company, there have been majority of the cases which have not performed well. There are in fact just few exceptions which have performed well on the exchange. So I hope you have also understood about the third company. So all in all, let me just wrap this whole video about mistakes that you should avoid regarding IPOs. But rather than talking about mistakes, now let us take it on a positive note. What could be a checklist before you apply for the IPOs? Of course, I have separate videos on things to be checked. But today, I have discussed a little bit different perspectives. I have given you a perspective of how things turn out post-listing as well, right? So number one, whenever you're applying for an IPO, you should be very clear whether you want to apply it only from a listing gains perspective or from a little bit longer term perspective. If you are investing only from a listing gain perspective, day one, whatever is the case, get out from the company, okay? Second, if you are applying from a little bit longer term perspective, what you should check is the company's quarterly results. You have to have a track on their fundamentals. If you are not aware about how to do fundamental analysis of the company, I have a course on that. You can check the link in the description and in the pinned comment. I also have a discount coupon code that you can see in the link in the pinned comment and in the description as well. Number three, you should track their technicals. Like I gave you the example of bottommost point on day one of listing, that should also be checked, and you should keep a track on how it is doing based on technical analysis, based on price action. Again, if you're not aware about how to do that, I do have a separate course on technical analysis as well as separate course on price action analysis as well, okay? And number four, like I mentioned, always check about the promoters of the company, whether they are in news for good reasons, for bad reasons, whatever is the case, you have to keep a track on that. I hope you found the very first video of 2025 very useful. If you have a separate topic in your mind, if whenever you feel that you should, I should do a separate video for you, please tell me about that in the comment section as well. I would love to do a separate video for you all. I hope you found some value in this one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye.